Wow. So Carson Wentz, he's got a city named after him. I had no idea. I had no idea. So this Sunday, the Philadelphia Eagles, they travel to Carson, California, where they will take on the Los Angeles Chargers. I made sure I got that right. The Los Angeles Chargers, no longer the San Diego Chargers. But I got a special guest for you guys. I've got Derek Huerta of TD Diaries. Welcome on to the show, man. This is going to be awesome.
Oh, thanks, Adrian. I appreciate it, man. I'm just as excited.
This is thrilling stuff because I've got some video and I've got some footage for you guys. Two things. So we're going to look at the last game in San Diego, and we're going to look at as the fans file out of the stadium, and you two are pretty much the last ones left. And it's a pretty emotional scene, and you do a great job with your editing. I mean, it's fantastic. Look at the booth. It looks tremendous. You've got the gold mic. I need to step my game up.
Hey, you know what? You just when you don't have access to the studio, you just bring the studio to you. So that's what I did.
And then you bring the game to you too, because you go in and you do your. That's why you're called the TD Diaries.
Yep, exactly.
You go to the game. So all right. So here's what I'm going to do. So we're going to play this right now. So we're going to play some footage from your last game, and guys, I'm going to make sure to put your channel in my, I guess, what's it called? The info box on the bottom. So I'll put it on there and make sure you click on his channel and sub, because it's a great channel. If you're a football fan, you watch this stuff because it's awesome. All right. So it's time to screen share, and it's time to figure out how to use technology.
Let's do it.
So
I'm excited.
I'm killing some dead air time as I figure out how to use this. So here we go. All right. The last game in San Diego. Can you imagine if Jeffrey Lurie took the Eagles and he moved them to Pittsburgh? Can you imagine if they took the Eagles and moved them to Chester and they had to play in Talent Energy Stadium, an MLS stadium? We would be furious. So the last game in San Diego, and I'll tell you what, I can feel for you because I can't imagine if somebody ever ripped my Eagles away from me. So here we go. We're going to play this. This is amazing stuff.
There's chance to save our bolts, keep our bolts. There's expletives followed by the name Spanos happening. Amidst everything, as hard as this is, as much as it sucks, I think I feel the most for the older generation Chargers fans. And Tanya and I were talking about it earlier. Like the ones who've been around for years, it's like the 60s, 70s, 80s. Like the team, they just stuck to their team all these years. You know, it's no secret the Chargers never won a Super Bowl. And like they followed them as long as they have. Just to have them possibly leave their city and just like that. That's the part that sucks.
There you go. Oh, man, they even played closing time, too? Oh, gee. Yeah, that's just like a kick to the nuts.
They were not helping out with the soundtrack on the way out.
Oh. So they're chanting, please don't go there at that point.
They were chanting, keep our bolts.
Keep our bolts. Okay. See, I couldn't even hear them.
That was the movement. Like towards the end of that last season, there was, and I think there's a picture of me somewhere. I don't know where, but of me holding a sign saying like "Save our bolts" or "Keep our bolts" in the parking lot before one game. And yeah, it's just leading up to it. It was interesting. It was an interesting feeling because the season before, like that felt like it was it. Like that, they were pretty much on the way out the door the season before. And I remember the last game of what were we in? So the 2015 season when we played the Dolphins and the Chargers got this amazing win and, one for the road. Let's, encore curtain call. We're going to win this game out. And the game ended, and Eric Weddle laid on the 50-yard line for about 30 minutes and didn't want to leave the stadium. and guys like Phillip Rivers and Gates came back out, signed autographs for about 2.5 hours after the game. Like, that felt like it was it. Like, that was San Diego saying goodbye to their team. And then Spanos gets denied by the rest of the owners in the league and says, no, Rams, go ahead and come on over to L.A. you got a year to figure it out. So then it's like, okay, well, we're back, guys. And then halfway through the year, just everyone was just over it. They're like, they're out, they're leaving. We already said goodbye. I can't do this again. And that last game, it was, people were still chanting, people were still holding on. And like you saw, they played closing time. They played uh, like stay a little longer. They played like all those different songs that just make you want to like melt down and sob and weep.
Yeah.
And we're expecting like, okay, last year was this epic finale and everything. And that last game of 2016 in San Diego, the actual last game, they pretty much just shut the lights off and said, all right, you guys got to go. And that was it.
I would have been arrested because I would have held on tightly to my seat. I wouldn't have left. You would have had to, literally rip me from the chair. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. If Jeffrey Lurie ever did it, he wouldn't see the day.
Yeah, no, we low key thought like we should have brought like wrenches and bolt cutters and like one of those like the
pun intended.
Exactly. There you go. Chop off our seats and take them with us, man. Like, nah, like these are my season tickets. I'm not leaving. I'm not giving this up. At least let me take the chairs home.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you said. Like that was so interesting. They ripped your season tickets away from you as well.
Yeah,
they took everything.
They did. I mean, they gave us the chance to renew, but I mean, again, you have to realize you're they're now playing in a soccer stadium.
Yeah,
you're getting twice the cost and half the value to an extent. So it really didn't. It just boiled down to it wasn't worth it. And a little backstory on me: our family has had season tickets since 1980, whatever, during the Dan Fouts eras, during the Eric Coryell eras, and I'm 26 years old, and this is the first year in my 26 years of existence. I haven't had, granted it's been a privilege, but I haven't had the opportunity to have season tickets because can't afford it. It's not worth it.
Mm-hmm. And obviously they're going to jack up the prices because you move to the StubHub Center. So you go from Qualcomm Stadium, which is, roughly about 70,000 people, and you go to the StubHub Center, and you actually have to round up to get to 30,000.
Right.
And you said that they have tarps on this place already.
The Chiefs game. I saw something. I went to the home opener against the Dolphins, and I was like, okay, it looks a little sparse, but there's people here. And then I'm watching the Chiefs game, and I'm like, we're like looking out into the far section, and I think it's the south end zone, and I'm like, what is that? Why are they advertising? Oh, those are where seats were. They covered them. Oh, that's not a good look.
Oh man! All right, so we're gonna play a little bit, just to see I don't know what the backdrop, I guess, the landscape. So I'm gonna get hold on. So as I do the technology thing again, I have to talk over it to avoid some dead air time. So good job, Adrian, for talking. All right, so we're in the screen share. So this is when Antonio Gates actually. So all those years that Antonio Gates puts his livelihood on the line. Every week, scratching, clawing to reach that mark, and he set it in Carson Wentz's city of Carson.
Yeah, man, it's just, and that's why a lot of not only Charger fans, but even San Diegans, for that matter, are very upset. I mean, the team goes, but it's like a lot of people I've personally talked to hang on because there's still Rivers and there's still Gates. And yeah, it's kind of disgusting. Both those guys are going to retire in a soccer stadium. I mean, Rivers might see the new stadium in Inglewood once that new LA stadium is done. He might. Gates, I don't think so. He's got this year, maybe if he comes back for one more year.
All right, so we're going to play just a little scenery here. So you can just see this little thing, this stadium. They can't even fill that.
Oh, wait, the tarps are there. Look at them right there.
Oh, yeah. So there you go. So just to look at it again, I mean, that's basically playing where the Union play.
Yeah.
Chester. So how was that experience? Playing there, and you said that Chiefs fans actually outnumbered Chargers fans last week.
Oh yeah. So experiencing the Dolphins game, it didn't it just wasn't right. Like it was just I don't know how else to explain it. It's
I'm
got to
glad
be
you're
like
answering this because I should have asked you that question. Like, what's it like now?
yeah,
Like watching this team in Carson compared to San Diego, where they should be playing.
it didn't feel right. Imagine like I would imagine showering at a place you've never showered before. I guess that's the best way I can kind of come up with something. It's the same thing, but it's just this isn't like where my soap is. What is this shampoo? I don't have my loofah. Whatever it is you're into in the shower, like it wasn't home. It just wasn't where the where they belonged. Like it just wasn't right. I mean, I don't want to disrespect or offend anyone who was, at the game and things like that, but it just didn't have the same vibe, the same excitement, the same, electricity in the air. There's another pun right there. Electricity in the air
There you go, baby.
that like, you know what I mean? That San Diego Charger game had. And like, I know, and it's hard because you can't compare it to how was the last season in San Diego, because as a fan base, when your owner pretty much says, yeah, we're pretty much on our way out the door already, like halfway through the season, obviously people are going to stop showing up. But I mean, I think back to like the glory, from what I remember recent history, the glory days of, when we had LT and we had, Schottenheimer and, we had, one of the most amazing defenses, and fans in the crowd would chant, "You can't run," because we had the best run defense in the league. And, you had Sean Merriman do his lights out dance after a sack. And that crowd was crazy. And it's not there in Carson. I'm sorry. It's just not there.
Yeah, unfortunately, Carson Wentz cannot host an entire city when he's all the way to Philadelphia. So unfortunately, that's, you can't do two things at once. So, there's already a lot on Carson Wentz's plate. Doug Peterson puts a lot on his plate. So he can't host the whole city, unfortunately. Can't host a football team.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's a lot to ask of one human being. So
yeah, we do call him Ginger Jesus over here in Philadelphia. So he can do awesome. A lot, but he
awesome.
All right, so I also want to get into, I guess, so Philadelphia fans are nuts. They will go travel even to San Diego. I did it. Even to Carson. So there's a homecoming here with Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
Kidding around, but I'm thinking if Chiefs fans outnumber Chargers fans, I can only imagine what it's going to look like on Sunday. There's going to be a lot of Eagles green.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt it. I mean, you look at this. You look at like the games coming up on the Charger schedule. It's like, okay, well, there's going to be a lot of those fans. There's going to be a lot of those fans. I mean, especially if anything, like. And you know what? And Chiefs fans always kind of roll deep too.
Yeah, they do.
There was always a good sea of red at Qualcomm. No matter what. Even like I said, those glory days that I was telling you about with those good teams in the mid 2000s. I mean, there still were a good number of Chiefs fans there. They show up, uninvited all the time. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm sure there will be plenty of green. I mean, even I went to the preseason game against the Saints, and even that there was Who Dat Nation was in attendance, even them. And I was like, not, I mean, I guess I shouldn't be shocked, but that's one interesting dynamic that I've always known to be with Southern California. I mean, especially like international types of cities, sometimes like LA and, San Diego, or even just, multinational or multi-state, residential. What I'm trying to say is people move from places to go live in San Diego and LA. And a lot of times, and I had a hard time getting there. And a lot of times they don't drop their fanhood whatsoever. I mean, I remember, taking the trolley to Qualcomm, and it was a Patriots game, and we were talking to just fans on the trolley saying, oh, you come to games a lot. They're like, oh yeah, we always like when the Patriots come to town because we're from New England, or we're from Boston, we're from wherever, and we always see them whenever they come out. And same thing, like I know there was a Falcons game a couple years ago in San Diego, and there was a lot of people like, oh yeah, we're from Atlanta, so we every time the Falcons come here, we have to go. And I was like, there's always people on the trolley that are like, oh yeah, we're from wherever, but we live here in San Diego. So the same goes to LA. A lot of people move in to, whether it be for the weather or the environment or for work or whatever it be, because a lot of people desire to live in Southern California, but they don't drop their fanhood and pick up the teams there, especially not if they're, haven't been any good or brought any championships. They have no desire to drop their team for who we have here. So that's a consistent
great point. That's a great point. That's a great point. And now I'm trying to think. So 0-3, but it's not a bad 0-3. It's there's no such thing as a good 0-3.
As good as an 0-3 gets.
But that's as best as 0-3 gets over there. I'll tell you what, man. You got some talent there. You got Melvin Gordon, got Phillip Rivers still, but you're looking at the defensive side of the ball, man. Casey Hayward is a very underrated cornerback. Melvin Ingram, second in the league right now, 5.5 sacks. Joey Bosa is a beast. He's got 2-3 multiple pass rush moves. It's very impressive for a second-year player. So we'll get into the game now because I'm scared. I'm petrified. I'm scared of the trap. We're going to fall right into it. You come off this high of a 61-yard field goal. It's insane. I had an L before the schedule. 2 hours ago when I did my show, I actually picked the Eagles to win 24-23. So as you can see, I'm on the fence here.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It really just depends on which Chargers show up. We played half a good game against Denver. We couldn't do anything to start the game that first Monday night, and then it's almost as if they said, all right, Rivers, go ahead and just do whatever you need to do and make this a close game. And before we knew it, it's, we're down 3 with a chance to tie and send it into overtime. And then against the Dolphins, I mean, we controlled that game probably from, it was tied 3-3 at the beginning of the second. We had the lead until the last couple minutes. And we let a team kick 4 field goals and beat us. Like, when does that happen? So it's like we played good. We got out to a lead and then just couldn't do anything after that. And then, again, last week against the Chiefs, Phillip throws 3 interceptions and we're still down a possession,
Yeah.
And we do absolutely nothing in the second half. Nothing. Just the play call just was not very creative. You see a lot of 1 yard run. Okay, now it's 3rd and 8. Okay, now we got to throw for it. Okay, incomplete pass. Now we're punting again. And then you saw that over and over and over again. So it's trying to string it together because on paper they got the talent.
Yeah.
It's just making it happen is always been the problem. And luckily, with the exception, and we'll probably get into it a little bit later, luckily with the exception of Jason Verrett, being placed on IR, we really haven't had the problem with injuries that we've been having the last couple of years. So it's like, what's the excuse now,
Mm. We got a new coach, right? Anthony Lynn is your new guy. So you got to deal with that. A new coach, a new regime. You got to get everyone on a new scheme, adapted to all that. So the Eagles felt that last year, obviously, when Doug Peterson came to town. And we're seeing the repercussions now of second year, and guys are starting to play a little better, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes a difference, having this experience, especially with a new head coach there. I'm scared of Phillip Rivers' release because if the way to negate the Eagles' pass rush is the quick passing game, you can pick on the cornerbacks a little bit. So I'll let you talk about your passing game because Rivers gets it out quick.
Oh yeah, no, I know they clock the whole release speeds and stuff, and that's like a John Gruden thing to say oh this look at his release, this is a quick football release, so all that. He gets the ball out quick, and I think that's the key. Like I was saying, what they probably didn't do enough of last week is where was the slant, where was the drag, where was the screen pass, where was the you got 2 studs at tight end. Granted, one's a little bit aged, but the other one's ready to take over, and they didn't use their tight ends at all against the Chiefs. So it's like, throwing those quick 4-yard routes or 5-yard routes, like you said, it negates the pass rush. And they should have done it more against the Chiefs in their pass rush because they had a couple guys after that they got a couple guys over there who can get after the quarterback almost at will sometimes. So our offensive line held up really well, but again, you got to get rid of the ball quick. And Rivers, he's at his best when he's, surgically picking apart the defense and just methodically, okay, this guy's going to be here, this guy's going to be here, and this guy's going to be here. So I know exactly where to go. If that's not there in like half a second, he's already to his next read versus some guys who let one route develop. They finally look over and the other two are already, trying to scramble and get open. So,
yeah, because that's been the dilemma in Philly. The defensive line is great, but to negate the pass rush, it's possible because the cornerbacks aren't great. So Jim Schwartz has not been able to figure out the adjustment. This dates back to last season. Once the Green Bay Packers game happened, get the ball out quick slants, get the ball out as quickly as possible, negate the pass rush, and that's how you find success against the Eagles. The cornerbacks are better this year than last year. Even you got Jalen Mills in the second year. Rasul Douglas is progressing nicely. You still are out with Ronald Darby, but the cornerbacks have held up. But if Phillip Rivers getting the ball out quick, I think the receivers can beat the corners because there's 4 or 5 of them that are really good on Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's
Los Angeles.
I know that's got to be like you don't want to end up like one of those refs or commentators that keep saying San Diego and
just say Chargers. Just say Chargers throughout the whole time.
Seriously, timeout Chargers, timeout. Just say timeout blue or timeout white. Go back to like the rec days where you just call the color of the jersey. Yeah, no, definitely because I know with Fletcher Cox and Graham, like it's just utilizing those receivers is really what's going to help and not only beating the corners, but beating them quick. And I mean,
yes,
Keenan Allen is a guy who can do that for us. And it's so nice to have him back from injury because he's somebody who just not so much with he's athletic, don't get me wrong, but he'll beat corners with just his disciplined route running. Yeah. I mean, he knows how to sell a double move. He knows how to sell, I'm going to take a step to the outside and cut back in and get you off balance better than a lot of other wide receivers I've seen, because you can be big and tall and athletic and fast, but he is just so disciplined in his routes that, he just gets you going the wrong ways. Once he has you shifting your center of gravity, you flip your hips the wrong way and he just beats you inside. And there's that quick throw that, negates the pass rush. Yeah,
for Eagles fans, a comparison could be made to Jeremy Maclin, great route runner. That's what he always did. So Keenan Allen, you got Travis Benjamin, so you got a guy that can burn the top of your defense. So you got different variety of receivers, and that's going to be interesting to see if the Eagles can combat that. And you talked about the tight ends. The Eagles normally handle tight ends pretty well, but you got 2 of them. So Antonio Gates, Hunter Henry. So week 2 he played really well, but then the other 2 weeks he hasn't done anything. So I would think that Lynn is probably like, all right, he's not that stupid. So he's going to get him in some touches this week, I would think, Hunter Henry.
I mean, I got to assume you got to work him into the offense. I mean, he got to wherever he wanted on the Dolphins and looking at just because of like kind of a little bit has to do with age and just abilities of the tight end. I mean, Gates can still find the pockets of space. I mean, if you're in a zone coverage, Gates knows exactly where to, okay, I'm going to run this many yards, at a diagonal, this like 50-degree angle to the right, and I'm going to turn around and I'm going to sit down right here. And I know if I sit down right here, Phillip's going to have the ball in my hands before I like finish turning around.
Yep.
So he can still be effective, especially on possession downs. Like I was talking about, like just when you need 4 yards, like just get it to him on first down. Okay, now you got a second and 6 rather than waiting till 3rd and 9 to try and, get 10 more yards to get the first. And then Hunter Henry he can run with anybody, and he's got the, potential to be just as talented as any of these other pass catching tight ends that we've seen, like a Tyler Eifert or, maybe a Gronk one day, but I don't know that anyone even comes close to comparing to Gronk. But I mean, he can run with just about anybody, and he is just as sure-handed as anyone else, even last year as a rookie. So, I mean, you can trust him in the big situations to get it done. I'd love to see them utilize the tight ends more and game plan and work them in a little bit more, especially if like you're saying, if the Eagles have had a little bit of trouble covering the secondary, you can't cover everyone.
Yeah.
And, you got, like I said, you got a route runner in Keenan Allen, you got a big old tall receiver in Tyrell, and you got Travis Benjamin, who's just faster than you can believe. And, okay, where do the tight ends work into that equation? They should be getting open and catching balls too. You can't cover everybody.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on to the defensive side of the ball. Let's talk about Jason Verrett's injuries specifically. So this is like huge, I think, for the Eagles because, I mean, first of all, the duo of Verrett and Hayward, the most underrated duo in the league. That's can't be disputed. So to lose him is huge, and it seems like the depth is a little scarce with what's his name? Trevor Williams is Trevor. How do you say his name?
Yeah, I think Trevor Williams.
So it is just because he doesn't spell it right.
Yeah,
so,
it's one of those interesting spellings, but yeah.
Okay, because I couldn't figure out whether to say Trevor or Trevar earlier on my show. So I think I called him Trevar. I should know how to say his name. He went to Penn State. I should know this because this is Philly. I mean, Penn State.
Yeah.
But I butchered it earlier. So now I know it's Trevor Williams. But he actually, from what I saw last week, he actually didn't play that bad.
No, yeah, he played well. He's been standing in well, and you know, he broke up a couple passes on some plays that I honestly, to be honest, I didn't think he was going to get to. I'd like to see him to lean on. They have their rookie defensive back, Desmond King. I'd love to see him lean on a little bit because he's one of the more sure-handed tacklers that we've had, especially on a Chargers defense that I'm not sure if they still are, but I know going into Kansas City,
the NFL in missed tackles.
Exactly.
So you know all about it.
Exactly. So
I did my research.
There you go. They're still undisputed kings of that. But I'd love to see Desmond King get some playing time too, like work him in. And I think Trevor Williams played enough to stay on the outside, but you know, Desmond King, obviously you bring him in a lot, especially since I know the Eagles got three wide receivers, just like Chargers got three wide receivers that can, get it done and all your different capabilities, with Alshon Jeffrey and Aguilar. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, there you go. See,
there you go.
You got Trevor Williams.
Exactly. You got one that's like there's an A, a G, and an H, and it just throws everything off. So.
I won't make you say our backup left tackle's name.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Halapoulivaati Vaitai.
Oh man, that's a name. Jeez.
Yeah. I know that one, but I can't get Trevor Williams right.
Yeah, we're getting on a tangent, but we used to have a tight end, Brandon Malialiuna, and that was
Manu Maliuna.
That was a mouthful to get out whenever.
Brandon Manu Maliuna.
Manu Maliuna, yeah.
I think that's how you say it. I'm like the king of pronunciations. That's what they call me at Philly Influencer. It's like
gotcha. I'm either spot on or not even close. So, but yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see because. Going, I guess, how we started this whole conversation with the Verrett injury. I mean, both guys were Pro Bowlers. You have two Pro Bowl cornerbacks, and a lot of people overlooked them because of the size. I mean, they're both, that 5'9", 5'10", smaller cornerback. They weren't like a Richard Sherman or like anything like that, but they're just as feisty and can cover anyone. And, Verrett, especially with his athletic ability, I mean, he more than makes up for his size with the fact that he can jump
oh yeah,
jump off the field and get to any ball he needs to. So my biggest gripe with that is that losing him to, he underwent knee surgery again. Somebody in the Chargers camp or Verrett's camp obviously made a mistake and he came back sooner than he should have.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only time when you see something like that happen, that's the only reason for that is he obviously was not ready to come back. And I don't know if it was, Verrett himself eager to get back or if it was, somebody in his camp saying, you got to get back out there. I mean, he was obviously cleared to play and you don't want to, think any like foul business by team doctors or anything like that. You don't want to assume it. But I mean, somebody dropped the ball somewhere. So there wasn't enough research done and said, okay, he's good to go. And I don't think he was. He obviously wasn't ready.
It kind of reminds me of we in Sixers land over here. We make fun of the trainers here because everyone always gets hurt. Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid got hurt like twice. So that has actually led to a position being filled. It's called someone got a vice president of athlete control position with this offseason.
Like quality control assurance, but like for the players?
Yeah, like athlete quality control, something like that.
Wow. But you got to do what you got to do, I guess, because I mean, in that regards, the Sixers and the Chargers is a great comparison because we've gone through so many strength and conditioning coaches in the last couple of years because it's like, all right, he didn't work out. Get him out of here. Like, the amount of injuries have just been insane.
That's funny that you bring that up because you know the healthiest team in the last 3 years? The Eagles.
Wow. Well, you want to let one of them, your staff, go and help us out here, Mike?
Well, it actually started because of Chip Kelly, because of the sports science.
Mm.
So he had the sports science and the smoothie machines and all that good stuff. And the Eagles actually kept some of that stuff and have actually used it. So whatever Chip did, the Eagles are still using, and they're staying healthy. Unfortunately, though, a couple guys got injured last week. Fletcher Cox is hurt. He's not going to play on Sunday, but that's going to be a big injury. But have been able to stay healthy.
Yeah, and I know Darren Sproles falls in that kind of equation. That's unfortunate.
My poor heart, dude. It was like a dagger to my heart.
He is a game changer. He is the X factor that can just.
Oh, you would know.
Of course, I would know. I was there 2008 wild card round against the Colts, and dude just puts the team on his back. The smallest guy on the field wins the game, walk-off touchdown against the Colts. Yep. Beats Peyton Manning's Colts, actually. So, no, he is a game changer, and he obviously with the change of pace, a lot of teams, because of Sproles, have that change of pace back. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have, behind Melvin Gordon, we have a guy, Brandon Oliver, who's that 5'8", that shifty, small. You let him, you hand the ball off to him, and nobody can find him because he hides behind the offensive line, and he's faster than all get out. And you got a guy like Danny Woodhead who made a career like that, being that change of pace back. Both for the Patriots and then for the Jets, to how he got his first opportunity, and then moving on to us. And like those type of guys are the ones you have to account for, because they're the X factor. You don't know what you're going to get. You know they're not going to necessarily run everyone over, but I mean, some of those guys in the return game, the screen game, the throwing people out, throwing them out to the flat, just you don't know what you're going to get, and they can just change a game in a heartbeat in a second. Yep. That's an unfortunate injury to see for the Eagles, definitely, because I would hate to not see him on the field.
He actually did something similar against the Colts in a game with the Eagles in an overtime. Actually, no, it might not have been overtime, but it was against the Colts, and he ran through like the entire team, literally, barreled through the entire team.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, one of those amazing touchdowns. It was like on a screenplay, and he scored, and that was against the Colts. So there you go. I remember that. Brings back memories. Now, hopefully he doesn't have to end his career on that note. All right, so let's see. What else I got on my notebook? We pretty much covered a lot of these topics. Actually, I never asked you this question. How far is it from San Diego to Los Angeles or Carson, where you guys are now?
Gotcha. So from San Diego to, technically speaking, Carson, it's drive time, no traffic. It's a 2-hour drive. With traffic, which there typically is on a Sunday, I mean, anywhere around LA County, you're going to run into traffic. It's guaranteed. Probably about closer to 3 hours to make it, one way, mind you.
Yeah.
So minimum 4 to 6 hour drive to get there and to get back. Mileage wise, I think it comes out to somewhere between 150 and 200 miles. Somebody Google Maps that and fact check me, but somewhere around that ballpark as far as distance wise. I will say this though, there is somewhat of a neat feature. There's something called the 5 North Bolt, and it's literally charter buses. Some company, basically rents charter buses on Sundays, and there's a couple different pickup points, and they'll bus people from San Diego to
That's cool.
Carson.
I like that.
So the people who are still, regardless of the fact they left San Diego, I'm still here to root for the Bolts. They can actually take a bus and take it all the way up. And I guess you could even I don't know that you can drink on the bus, but once you get off the bus, they have a little tailgate party.
You can drink on the bus. You can find a way to drink.
I think they have one of these policies where they just kind of go ahead and do your thing. But yeah, no, it's a neat experience. I've seen just via some people I follow and tweet with on Twitter, I've seen the pictures and the experience and some videos, and it looks like a good time. And the whole time it's basically like a field trip for Charger fans. So I could imagine that'd be awesome. But yeah, that's about the distance. So, I mean, you're still looking at a long day as far as travel up and down the coast to get to games. It's not exactly, I know a lot of people who don't live in the area kind of say, well, they're just like a city over, it's a little bit more than a city. You got to get through 2 counties to get there. So,
yeah, like a 2 to 3 hour drive here in Philadelphia, about the equivalent of going down the Jersey Shore.
yes.
So go to the Jersey Shore there. That's about 2 to 3 hours right there. So if anyone watching this from Philly, you would get that. So there's your equivalent right there.
That's exactly how far you have to go.
Yeah. So Jeffrey Lurie ever made the Eagles, the Wildwood Eagles, Wildwood, New Jersey. That would piss me off very, very much. So I forgot to ask you this, and I meant to ask you this immediately. So this week, a hot topic of conversation, potentially moving the Chargers back to San Diego. And I bet that warms your heart.
It does.
Or is it a tease?
It's more of a tease than anything.
They're pulling on the heartstrings.
It really is. It's basically, okay, what headline can we put out there? All this mainstream sports media. What headline can we put out there that'll get people to click on this, view this, read this article, tune in at 7 p.m. Like, I mean, I get the thought process. I mean, essentially, the NFL is a business, and it doesn't want to lose its money. Now, if you consistently see poor attendance and poor support and poor, just everything going on with the Chargers, they obviously don't want to lose their money. And all the other owners are going to get together and say, hey, this isn't working out. We can't have this in our league. Mm-hmm. So mindset-wise, and the NFL really can do whatever it wants to do. If it really wanted to, it probably could have saved the Chargers from leaving San Diego. I think the lure of LA, the instant increase in value of your franchise, moving it from San Diego to Los Angeles, the entertainment capital of the world, is what kind of was enticing. But I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I mean, you have Spanos, the owner, who has thrown so much money. I mean, they just finished their new practice facility in Orange County. They just spent all this money on marketing and campaign and the Fight for LA campaign and all that. I don't know that the NFL will give Spanos his $650 million back from his relocation fee that he's paying. Granted, it is mortgaged essentially over 30 years. And, you basically just have to say, okay, we'll give you back whatever little bit you've paid. Because without that money, he's like, well, I'm not going back. You take my money and then force me back. So there's a lot of moving pieces. Now, it could happen. I could see, like I said, where the NFL gets involved enough. It's like, okay, this is out of hand. This is such a bad idea that you guys got to go back to San Diego. But then the other half of the coin is just they've burned every bridge all the way up the 5 freeway to San Diego. They already had a difficult time getting anything done with city leaders and politicians in San Diego. Mm. Now you throw in the fact that they just kind of left them, just to pack their bags, say, we're going to LA. City leaders want nothing to do with the Spanos family or the Chargers organization. So through 15 years of trying to get a stadium done, probably 15 plus years, 10 different stadium proposals that all got declined or voted against, either by, the citizens of San Diego proper or city politicians saying, no, that's not going to work. We need an environmental test. We need a stress test. We need to make sure that that's a viable option. You know what? You can't use that land for that. It's just they're not going to be willing to work with him at all at this point. So it's just you go back to San Diego. Where are you going to play now? You can't really go back to the Q. The San Diego City mayor, Kevin Falconer, talked about saying past 2019, it's not profitable to keep Qualcomm open, and we're going to implode it. And that's that. So you go back to trying to find a place to play and getting something done, and it's not there. You're right back into square one with the whole reason you left San Diego.
Can I ask you something? So the new stadium that they're building, are they sharing that with the Rams, or is that two different things? They're sharing.
They're sharing it with the Rams. Matter of fact, to put it more accurately, Stan Kroenke, the owner of the Rams, is building that stadium, and the Chargers are going to be a tenant in that stadium. So they're going to rent from the Rams to play in that stadium. They're going to be the Clippers of the NFL.
They need to go back to San Diego.
That's you know what?
They need to go back there immediately.
both Chargers and non-Chargers fans all say the same thing. It's crazy because having the videos that I've posted on my channel, I've had a number of different fan bases or fans from different fan bases reach out to me saying, "Oh, that's a bummer. I couldn't imagine if my team left, if this team left." I had a dude from Seattle say, "Yo, this reminds me when the Supersonics left and became the Thunder."
Yeah.
And I even had Raiders fans saying, "Yo, I feel for you. That's terrible." when Raiders fans are giving you
Well,
the
I guess they
sympathy
moved
to the
to
Charger
LA.
fans.
Like I guess they know about it a little bit, and they're moving to Las Vegas.
Yeah, I mean they moved from Oakland to LA back to Oakland, and now they're moving to Vegas. So it's like all three cities, both Oakland, San Diego, and St. Louis, all losing teams back to back to back. So
San Diego's going to go. Actually, the Los Angeles Chargers, they're going to move to Oakland.
you know what? They might. Who knows?
I mean, if there's no Qualcomm Stadium, and this is such just a disaster that they have to move somewhere. Maybe it's Oakland. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
It could be, but then my only, I guess, questioning on that is I guess from what I've heard is Oakland basically had the same gridlock that the Chargers had in San Diego. There's just the Mark Davis and the politicians for Oakland just didn't see eye to eye on getting anything done. And I guess, did a team like the Warriors, who's become wildly successful and wildly popular, just they got a new arena, and I guess they just don't, even though the Raiders are on the up and up, they're just the reputation that comes along with it, I guess. City leaders just don't want anything to do with it, I suppose.
Well, when you keep moving the team from, one state or one city to another, there's a trust factor, obviously, that gets broken.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So, okay. So, forget what I was going to ask you. But I will say this. The Rams aren't drawing either. So, I can't see how two teams in Los Angeles works. For whatever reason, LA, no one cares about football in Los Angeles. For whatever reason. I don't know why. It's always been like this. Even when the Raiders were there in the 80s and 90s, they didn't draw well. They didn't fill out the what's it called, the Memorial Coliseum.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see how two teams can work. I honestly, it wouldn't 100% surprise me if the NFL butted in and was like, "This, you can't have two teams in LA." They're just, if you have tarps already at a $30,000 soccer stadium. And you're already tarping it. I just don't see it working.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't see, if you can't fill a soccer stadium, how do you fill this 80,000 capacity stadium that's going to be done in Inglewood in a couple years? The mayor of LA himself even said, "You know what? I think one team's enough. I think we would have been fine." Like basically, and I'm paraphrasing here. He basically was saying, the Rams are okay. We didn't really need you, Chargers. You could have stayed in San Diego. We would have been all right. The other thing too is just the fight for it's a large market. Like, granted, LA is a huge market, and that's the enticing factor. But at the same time, it's such a saturated market. You share the market with the obviously the Lakers own the town, and then you have the Dodgers, who are right there, maybe even with the Lakers, depending if you're a baseball or basketball fan. Then you still have the Clippers, the little Clipper following that's grown because the Clippers have been a little bit better in recent years. And you got to fight for, even the Angels of Anaheim, who live 20 minutes away from my house, who branded themselves as the LA Angels. Yeah. I mean, you got them. And then you still got to fight with UCLA and USC, who clearly have more of an audience and draw more attendance than, I mean, I don't know if you saw it the other day, what was it? The game USC versus the Texas Longhorns.
Mm-hmm.
They drew more attendance than the Rams and the Chargers combined to a USC game, to college football. I mean, that's where the loyalty is. That's a lot of people in LA have just been college, because it's been a college football town for so long. So they don't really want to get into the NFL. They'd rather go watch college.
Yeah, I don't think you can just take a team and just pluck it. It doesn't matter if it's Los Angeles or whatever, like whatever city. I'm trying to think of one, just random one, like Jamaica Queens or something,
mm-hmm.
or something like that. You can't just take a random NFL team and just put it in a city and just expect it to work. I don't see how that can happen.
It's
and even in LA, because you brought it up and something I just thought of. I mean, you got a Dodgers team right now that's looking to win a World Series.
right.
No one is caring about football in LA right now.
Not at all. I mean, you got the Dodgers putting maybe one of the – if they can win the World Series, it could be talked about as one of the best seasons in baseball.
Yeah.
And by no means is anyone interested in an 0-3 team from San Diego. So
No.
that's just – I mean, I go back and I question, where was the thought process? Where was the preparation? I mean, you strip it down to bare facts. And the owner sees we can't get a stadium done here in San Diego. We can move into a new stadium in LA, and we just have to pay rent. And it's a large market, so we can hopefully have that opportunity. But it's like nothing was thought out of okay, well, where are we going to play? We'll figure it out. I guess we'll just play at a soccer stadium. Well, who's going to go to the games? People will still cheer for us from San Diego. They'll still want to follow us. Well, people, they've been without football for a long time. They'll just come to our games. Like, no, it really did not work out like that way. The marketing campaign, even to the Dodger logo with the lightning bolt, like that was so poorly received and like poorly thought out. It just blew my mind, the lack of preparation. Like, okay, we're going to move to LA, but we're going to wing it the whole time. That's how it feels. That's how this whole thing feels. And I mean, I put partial blame on the NFL too, because it's like you look at the Chargers, they probably feel like, oh, it's just the Chargers. It's San Diego. It's some beach town, 3,000 miles, all the way on the other side of the country. It's whatever. But I look at like a franchise, since we're talking about it, the Eagles. I mean, imagine the Eagles saying, all right, we're going to move. The NFL would step in a heartbeat and say, whoa. No, we have the Philadelphia marketplace on lock. You need to stay put. Imagine some of these other, branded teams, as they call them, like the Cowboys or the Giants or the Patriots, even like some of these other marquee teams that have just, you ask someone who doesn't really follow the NFL, name 3 teams, and they're going to come up with, maybe the Raiders, the Cowboys, and the Raiders, unfortunately, didn't get that same situation. But, some of these other teams, especially looking on the East Coast with these hardcore followings, that they wouldn't have let them leave without a doubt. Like they're anchored into those cities and communities.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we're pretty much an hour in already. How about that?
Wow. It hasn't felt like an hour.
Yeah, we're almost there. I forget what time we started, but I know we started before 12:30. So I think we're close to the 50-minute mark, 55-minute mark maybe. I don't know what exactly. But this is the point in the show where we do final thoughts, and we just kind of just wing it, say whatever you want to say, and then get out of here.
All right. Sounds good. So, final thoughts going into this Sunday.
Actually, I never got a prediction from you for the game, so actually.
Okay. So we'll make that. So
it's like the whole reason why you're on here for Dan.
Pretty much to see if okay. So my prediction, honestly, I'm thinking it's going to be like a 20-17 game, and as much as I want to pull for my Bolts, I honestly see the Eagles winning this game. I'll be really honest.
All right. That makes me feel better.
I look at I mean, like you said, there are some weaknesses in the secondary of the Eagles, but I hope they get it done, but I really just am doubtful just because of the lack of like offense being generated. It really comes down to, because our defense has been stellar, but our offense just can't keep drives going. And as a defense, you can only play defense for so long, and you're eventually going to give up a big play. And I feel like you guys with your wide receivers, it's, we were able to hold Kansas City at bay in their passing game, but Wentz is a stud.
Yeah.
And, you got you got some big time receivers on your side that fit the mold of, the tall, big receiver, the fast receiver, and you got different, mix it up. So you can't cover everybody. I think it'll be a very, very close game, but I do see it 2017 Eagles.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been petrified. I've been scared. It feels like a trap. And it feels like the Lions game from last year when the Eagles started 3-0. They beat the Steelers. They were riding a high, and then they lost. But this game, maybe this team's a little different. So we'll see. I have 24-23 Eagles. when I emailed you last night, I said the Chargers are going to win. So I can't make up my mind, but I think we can agree it's going to be close and it's going to be nip and tuck. And I think we can also agree there's going to be more Eagles fans in the stadium.
I would agree so too, and that's probably going to be my closing statement. Is to see, last week it was an AFC West division rival, and a lot of times you're going to get a lot of those fans coming to those games, more so than you would see other fans. But it will be interesting to see how much Eagle Green is there. My final thoughts, again, talking about attendance. I've been monitoring prices of Charger tickets, and as I paid close to $400 for my 2 seats.
Ooh.
And they've been steadily dropping. And I think up until the day before game day against the Chiefs, they were at a cool $59 per seat. So my final thought, final thought is if the Chargers trend, and granted, diehard Chargers fan, I don't want to see this happen. I want to see them win some games, put a streak together. Let's get something going. But I also have to be realistic as a football fan.
Yeah.
And I have to see if they keep this string of mediocrity going, are we going to see ticket sales drop even more? Are we going to see even emptier seats, when they get to a team that's not, as like you said, one of the teams that travel well? What's going to happen when a team that doesn't travel well and none of the Charger fans want to go to the stadium? Are we going to see a half-empty 27 now down to 25 capacity stadium?
You know what I just thought of? You guys are basically playing in London for a full season.
That's essentially what it is.
Yes. It's like the Jags. Like the Jags do 2 games a year in London. No, the Jaguars are basically playing off 8 games in London.
Yeah. That's exactly what we're doing. We're playing at like a foreign environment, literally a foreign environment. Yeah. We're playing somewhere that doesn't feel like home, that hasn't been home. And that's essentially how it feels. Like, oh, we're going to play some games in LA to get you excited about football, but this isn't like the real home or anything like that. That's a very good point.
Yeah. And that's the final thought of mine. There you go.
Nice.
It feels like London.
It does.
Calling.
It really does.
Oh, San Diego Bridge falling down. Unfortunately. We'll see what happens in the coming years. But you're gonna keep bleeding that Charger blue, that powder. I'm gonna do this to end this show. I'm gonna do this.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to pull up the screen share again. If I can find this right now, I think you would appreciate this.
I have a feeling what's coming on. Yep.
Get in with baby. Boogie. Dude, this is tremendous. Yeah, my final thought, baby.
Man.
He's not saying Los Angeles.
He is not. Oh, man, that brings back memories. Memories of last year. Oh, goodness.
There you go, baby.
That's the anthem.
Oh, I'm not going to lie. That is the best anthem in all of sports right there. That's better than the Eagles, baby. There you go. So, for that being said, we'll end it right now. Derek Huerta of TD Diaries. Make sure follow you on Twitter. You got a Twitter?
Yeah, got a Twitter. DizzyXHD. At DizzyXHD.
There you go.
He
doesn't even know. He doesn't even know his Twitter name.
But yeah, I appreciate it, Adrian. Thanks for having me on. This has been awesome, dude.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, and I always enjoy these shows because I get to learn from the other fan base about what their team's all about. And dude, you're very knowledgeable, very well spoken, and definitely check this guy's videos out. TD Diaries. I'll make sure to put information in the information box, so I'll do that. So with that being said, that's the end of this show. I'm going to say go Eagles. You're going to say go Chargers.
I'm going to go Bolts up. Game day, Sunday. Let's go Bolts.
There it is. Later, guys.
All right. Take care.